Hello, LT360 Nation. It is Coach Ken here. And today I want to teach you what I consider a very important topic, and I find it to be becoming more and more important than what I may have or we have initially thought, and that is your BMR. You really got to know your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, or your metabolism at rest, what you can afford to take in during the course of a day. But if you exceed it, you will actually gain excess weight in the form of fat, because the body will store any excess calories that will come in. It will store the excess as food for the body, which is fat. So for the body, it's food. For us, it's like unhealthy. I'm carrying extra body fat that I don't need. Your body fat is now the number one preventable health condition in our culture today. So it's very dangerous to the body, the problems that it causes and creates. So it's important to know your BMR. Now, normally, traditionally, we don't talk about BMR because for probably at least 95%, if not more, of the people that come to LT360, one of their goals is to lose weight, and in our terminology, lose the excess body fat. So we naturally create a calorie deficit within the meal program and how we do our activity so that you won't get the amount of calories. You're trying to create a calorie deficit, so you will now release the excess body fat as either fuel or food. So we don't really have to know our BMR, I guess, in that sense, in that kind of thinking, if we're creating a natural calorie deficit. It does come into play, as we would say, when you get to where you want to be, what we call maintenance phase. Then you really do have to know what's going on, because you don't want to take in more and start putting the weight back on. So what happens, though, what I've noticed now being here with LT360 over 3 years and coaching this program, coaching this plan, is that we do have people who slip back. We do have people who have lost a lot and yet have gained a lot back. And we do have people who are kind of frustrated, obviously, by that, what's going on, what's happening. And there's a couple things. In today's lesson, I want to focus on one of those, and that is BMR. You've got to know and understand BMR, and you've got to kind of put that in your frame of thinking, even on your bad days or days that you're not following program or plan. So when you come in for an eval, you get one of these forms, right? On the bottom, we have our BMRs, our basal metabolic rate. This is your BMR, unique to you, based on the formula that's within our database. And you'll notice there's 3 categories. There's the normal day. There's what we recommend, a day with activity, in the middle. And here on the end, there's your couch potato day. That's the amount of you can afford to take in calories. And as long as you don't exceed that number, okay, your body won't be able to store any excess, as excess fat or food. So it's important to know that BMR even on your bad days so that you don't take in, because we don't really necessarily feel the weight coming back on. It's not like you can, if you have extra calories in a daily thing, you're going to feel that. So you got to be very, very careful, because over the long haul, over the long run, it'll start coming back. Yeah, at some point you're going to notice it. The clothes are getting tighter again. If you are getting on the scale, the number's going up. But it doesn't always happen, initially, or that you feel, or if you had a day even when you maybe, went way beyond your BMR, that you would feel it. But here's what you're saying to yourself, in a sense, when you go beyond your BMR. You're basically giving yourself permission, okay, to go ahead and tell your body, hey, I'm taking in more than what I need today, what you can use today, so go ahead and store this fat. That's what you're saying, because, see, the body has no other option. If you give it more than what it can use, there's only one thing it can do. It's not going to get rid of it and just, flush it out. You're forcing your body to store excess body fat. So that's why you got to know your BMR and hone in. And I think if people would start understanding and realizing that, I'm hearing more clients as I talk about this say, oh, I've never really had it explained to me that way before. And so I thought, well, let's do a teaching video on it. Now, that was a female's form, okay? This is an example of another female and her BMR with her normal, her activity, and her couch potato day. And you realize it's about 300 calories less. Well, there's no sense in this person looking over at the other person and saying, well, good night, I wish I had her BMR. I could afford more calories or create a bigger calorie deficit, and my journey would go quicker. Some of you who sit there and see oh my gosh, I see all these great stores and they're losing this and they're losing that, and I'm just kind of putzing around. Well, part of it obviously could be the consistency of your routine, but another big part of it is how much of a calorie deficit you can create. We don't really want to create more than a 30% calorie deficit on your BMR to be safe. We don't like women, for that matter, particularly women, because their BMRs are lower, to go under 1,000 calories per day. So, but if your BMR is different, your BMR is different. You got to work with your BMR. And you're never going to change your body's design. In fact, if anything, your BMR is going to get less as it gets more efficient as you get the excess body fat off. So you're going to see that happen a lot as you get as you go through the program and get closer to where you want to be or get to where you want to be. Okay? So you got to understand and work with your BMR. So even on those bad days that you're not following the program closely, if you're trying to make progress, you don't want to go beyond your BMR because you're just giving yourself permission. Okay, go ahead, store it as fat. I guess I want some more. I guess I'm going to give you permission to do it because that's the only option you're going to give the body. So next time you come in, let's start honing on our BMRs. And again, you realize if you saw the form closely, the person who has a lower BMR has made great progress, over 80 pounds of excess body fat's lost. Okay, so it's not like you're limited. You just have to understand you and just be more careful in what you're doing. But you can still make progress regardless of your BMR. But you got to know your BMR and work with it, work with your body's design, because some of you who are not making as quick as progress, it's just because you got a lower BMR. And there's nothing, you're not going to change that, okay, comparing to someone else. So no reason to compare with anybody else. It's your journey. It's how you do it. But you got to do it based on your body's design, and knowing your BMR is a big part of that. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know, ken@lt360.com. And let's have a great day transforming, great week, great month. Let's have a great rest of 2019. LT360 Nation. Here you go. Keep your foot on the gas.